Hello, Parker.
Hello.
So it's probably the first time French audience meets you. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Hi, my name is Parker Sawyers. I'm an American actor. I live in London. I'm 33 years old, and I played Barack Obama in the movie First Date.
Oh, so you know the French title then.
Ouais. Premier rendez-vous.
Rendez-vous, ouais.
Ouais.
So how did you come upon this project?
It was a traditional sort of, traditional audition, I guess. It came in through my agent in London, and I submitted a tape. That was not a very good tape, and then they asked me for another one, and then I did that one, and from that one I got it.
And was it weird for you, knowing that you would impersonate a real character still living and still in office?
No, I mean, any character I approach. I mean, this was obviously a very specific person with very specific mannerisms and cadence in the voice and so forth. But any character I play, I base off somebody I know. So, I played a soldier once who was like a high school athlete. And there's a guy I went to high school with who went to the armed forces. And so I based it on him. So basically I just played him the entire time. It's a little easier. And so no, there's no difference really.
It's your first time as a leading man in a movie. Did you feel some pressure?
No, I was excited. Like, I needed a break. I started acting quite late, so I needed a lead role to like prove myself to Hollywood and so forth. And so I was more excited than intimidated because, I had, you either do it and do it well, or you can do it and fail, and then I wouldn't have a career afterwards because, he can't do it. You know what I mean? So no, I jumped at the chance. I was excited.
So yes, exactly. That first date is during the first date of the Obamas. So what did you want to capture from Barack Obama himself and put on screen?
Yeah, his confidence and his intelligence and his belief in himself and self-assuredness, I guess, which I based more on his upbringing and how the totality of his experiences up until 28 would make this person who he is, right? So it wasn't just a brash confidence. It's not just like, I'm just cool. Like, it was more like as he moved around when he was younger, he had this interesting background of being in Indonesia and being mixed race in America in the 60s, 70s. That perspective could either make you feel like you don't belong and you're other than, or can make you feel like you don't necessarily belong, therefore you belong to everybody, you know what I mean? Or you can belong anywhere. And so that's what I chose. And so hopefully it highlights that he's not just some arrogant person, but it's a person who took a lot of experiences and said, no, I'm good because of this, not bad because of it.
How much did you know about this part of his life before starting the movie?
Oh, I knew a lot about it. I was a fan. I've been a fan of him since 2005. So I knew quite a bit of, his life story, but also his openness, at least in in his books, Dreams from My Father, specifically. He was quite open. And I found that fascinating for a politician. And you can really get to know somebody. A lot of politicians' books, memoirs or whatever, they're written like they're still going to run for office. So it's not very deep. Or if it is, you can see through it. You can tell it's fake. Yeah, I've been a fan of him since 2005 because of that.
Would you say that he had a personal impact on yourself because you're African American as well? So
yeah, definitely. But also in terms of me becoming an actor, I started 5 years ago, and I'd never acted before. But I looked at Obama, and I was like, well, he's done something that was probably way harder than becoming an actor. And so I was like, well, if he can do that, I can certainly quit my job and try out this new career.
It's the first long feature from Richard Tain, the director for the movie. So what would you remember from your collaboration with him?
He was on it, man. He was he had considered everything. He had worked tirelessly to make sure his vision was protected. And before we even started shooting, maybe 6 weeks before, he sent me pictures, everything he found. So I didn't even have to do it. That was nice. Like pictures of the Obamas he sent me when they were younger. He sent me, I don't know how many films, but films to watch for grading. He'd be like, this film would be like, it's going to look like this, and this film, this is the tone, and this film, the beginning of it is how I want the beginning of our film to be paced out. And then he'd send me another one, the music in this one. He'd send me another one, the ending, the way that the slow romantic, on page is like 3 pages, which is like 3 minutes on screen. But he's like, no, those 3 pages would be more like 10 minutes. Watch this movie, you'll see how, So he hit me with all that stuff, which helped me tremendously to understand how the film would turn out and how it would look. And I was even more excited.
It's really precise. I mean,
yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Well, I asked him once during the speech, the community meeting. I memorized the whole thing. I was good, but there was just like one. I forget what part it was. There was one part of it where I was like, "Can I say this before that?" And he goes, "No." Okay. So no, he was very particular, but it was good, man.
Would you say that the movie is through Michelle's eyes? Because I feel like the narration is she's telling the story. It's not really Barack who's telling, but it's Michelle. Would you agree in that?
Yeah, well, she's certainly the prize in it, and it's not like he's like a rich guy, and she has to like get her stuff together. The movies that were big in like high school, you know what I mean? The nerdy girl who's like, you know what I mean? Nah, she was it. She was like the one he really wanted. He had to prove himself. And she was certainly I guess the catalyst for the date. Otherwise, it's like, do you want to go out? Yeah. And that's it. But like he really had to prove himself and show that he was a good guy, that he could listen. And when she's trying to prove the point about the office politics and how as a woman, she's like, dude, I can't do this. Like, I get it, but no, I have a lot of things I need to get done. And if you were the associate and dating me and an intern, it'd be like, yeah, okay, sure. But if I do it, I'm going to be judged for it differently. And he finally gets that in the car before the community meeting. And that's really when he's like, oh, all right, I got to walk in her shoes. I have to understand where she's coming from. Yeah, I guess the impetus for the date or for the movie is Michelle's position.
Would you say above all that this is a romantic movie or maybe a political movie?
No, man, I don't find it that political. Somebody else asked me that. I find it romantic, but also much more about friendship. That's how I see it. I mean, other people see it very romantic. I find it much more about friendship in the sense that they make each other better, and that could be anybody, like a teacher or a parent or a best friend. Or whoever like pushes you and makes you think and say, oh, I could do this better. I could be, if I just tweak it just a little bit more, I could succeed faster, reach my goals faster. And so for me, you see them click and become friends over this date. And I guess it makes sense because a lot of people are like, oh, my boyfriend's my best friend, or my wife, she's my best friend. So in that sense, it's more about friendship for me.
Have you heard from the presidential couple after this movie?
They're upstairs waiting for me. We're going to have lunch. No, man, we haven't heard anything. I hope they watch it soon, but they have it. And they have a copy, so hopefully. But they're busy.
Of course.
I get it.
Well, after his mandate, maybe.
Yeah.
What would you say to him if you ever meet?
No, I would just, both of them, I would just thank them for being an inspiration and having the courage to change the world. I mean, Americans are pretty, well, we're progressive, but then quite a few of us are conservative, and we do push for change, but then when that change actually starts to happen, then we push back, which is sort of a good thing, because, I mean, you don't want things to change too quickly. But, no, I would just say thank you. Yeah, they've done a lot for humanity. And really just being themselves, which is part of what this film is about as well, right? It's just just the fact that they met and decided to work together, stay together, love each other, and build a family, and then come on the national and the world stage and show what hard work and intelligence and supporting one another, where it can get you. It's very powerful.
If you had played Barack Obama nowadays, what would have been different from your character in First Date?
Well, I wouldn't be smoking in a tank top. No, it would be way more postured and, just like how he is, right? So at 28, he was looser, he's more playful, and it's private. This is all, except for the community meeting, it's all private interactions, so he's a little different. than he is now. Well, than what we see now, because that's what we see is the public figure.
Of course.
He'd be way more tired and probably exhausted from the political circus that is in America.
And if the audience were to remember one thing about your movie, what would it be? Your performance?
I suppose listening to one another. Because, I mean, no doubt Michelle said it's not a date. But she still stayed, and she was sort of like, all right, let me just see what he's talking about. And then he would say, like in the museum, right? She agrees to go to the museum, and he starts talking. And she's like, oh, he actually knows some stuff. And then with the poem, she's like, oh, all right. And just like, and she found him really interesting. This guy who just knew all this random information, and I think he had a heart, and it showed a little bit of his hope as well, just to tell the story about Ernie Barnes and you know, good times, and the idea that like, yeah, but he had, you know, that guy had something else going on, you know. And she found that out by listening. And then later on in the car, when she finally says, no, you don't understand. He was like, all right. He really was listening. And then by the time they get to the bar, he's open to listen to her, and she's open to listen to him. And that's when they really start to connect. So I'd say listening to one another and getting to know one another in a deeper way.
Great. And what about your future projects?
I don't know, man. I'm looking forward to hopefully receiving better scripts, because before this and at my size, I got a lot of action films.
You are really tall. That's
quite
true.
tall. So yeah, I got a lot of action films, and I played, you know, a soldier several times, but I don't really like guns. Well, I don't like having a gun. So if I don't have to have one in my next couple roles, it'd be great. And then yeah, I just want to play something hopefully uplifting, like a teacher or something. And I also want to like just play a guy. Like I don't want to play like, okay, you're black and, you know what I mean? But like you're just a teacher, or you're a cop or something, or a detective, but the plot is not based around being a black detective. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I really want to find a role that's written for a white guy, audition, and get the part, and they don't change anything else in the script. You know what I mean?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
J'ai été moi-même quelqu'un d'assez en colère, hein, et j'ai vécu les émeutes de 2005 de l'intérieur, et j'avais qu'une envie, c'était de descendre et brûler des poubelles comme tout le monde, comme tous ces jeunes.